Hi, Nathan Roy here, and we're talking Violin Succession. If you've heard the theme, you know those violins are not really in tune. Actually, they're way off. Now, what we don't know is whether that was deliberate or not. Was it a conscious artistic choice? Or was it because their fingers simply forgot how to get in line? See, unfortunately, in Violin Succession, it's what we don't know that stands in the way of perfect execution. We've got to be sure exactly how the dominoes are going to fall. So let's dig right in. Okay, seriously now, this is a really addictive figure. You might say an earworm, but it's really instructive on one of my favorite subjects, hand frame. What is hand frame? It's basically the concept that to play easily, comfortably, and consistently in tune, our fingers must work together. They're part of the same hand, after all. 4 little pawns in this chess game like Kendall, Shiv, Roman, Conn. Anyway, the neutral frame of the hand actually forms an octave between 1 and 4. So if you can play an octave comfortably, meaning I don't want you to be reaching up with the 4 like that, because then even if you could play it in tune, that 4 is totally immobile. Neither do I want you to be playing an octave with these fingers sticking out all over the place. So comfortably, and still be able to move the fingers independently. So comfortable octave, moving the fingers independently, that's a great frame. So when I say independently, what I mean is that I could change the position of any finger a half step up or down without disturbing any of the other fingers. So even with these 2 on the string, I could play a 2, I could move it up and down, the 3, without disturbing the hand overall, without moving that 1 and 4. I could even move 1 or 4, 4, 1. Now, you're going to see the hand wiggle a little, not saying it's got to be like a statue, but that basic frame, that basic position of the hand will not be disturbed. Now, sometimes the frame is across 2 strings, like it just was in that octave double stop, but sometimes it's on 1 string. So let me just move that 4 from the A string onto the D string, puts it on the same string as the 1, right? Just straight across. It's the same frame, but it's all on 1 string. So what's that interval now between 1 and 4? It's not an octave, but a perfect 4th, okay? Once again, I can move each finger independently from the others. A 1, a 2, 3, 4, without disturbing that frame. Now whether it's on the same string or across 2 strings or 3 strings or 4, whatever, every finger needs to be on or above a real note. So nobody's just up in the air, no family members wondering what their next move is. So if I take this opening of succession, I'm not just going to start by putting a 3rd finger down and calling that an opening move. It's like going into a negotiation without any intel about your opponent's likely moves. Instead, I'm going to form my frame 1-4 and build from there. So when I look at this opening figure, in 4th position, my 1 needs to be on an A flat, right? And my 4 is going to be a string over, also on an A flat. So that's a perfect octave. Great frame. Now I'm going to fill in the blanks. The 3 is going to go right up against the 4, yeah? I'm going to let 2 either rest on the string or above the string, but right in between. That would be an F natural. All right? So, I'm going to be all set now for those first 2 bars. Did I really need to go through all that just to play those 2 bars? No, I probably could have just played it, figured it out. It's slow, the notes are easy, but things are about to heat up in bar 3. This is all building good hygiene. Bar 3, I'm still in 4th position, yeah? And hopefully, I've still got my 1 where I left it, on that A flat. If that's the case, then part of hand frame work is always knowing where your 1 is, all right? Now that 2, instead of being right in the middle as it was, it's about to go high to a B natural, right? But because I'm thinking hand frame, all I need to do is change the shape of my 2nd finger, right? I'm not going to move the whole hand. And here's where some folks might unconsciously pick up the 1 and start moving up the hand along with the 2. So here's what that would look like. Might not necessarily sound bad. But now I've got to figure out where that 1 goes. I've got to replace it and make my best guess where it needs to go. I could probably make a good guess. But what a better habit to build and a better way to execute under pressure, to simply leave the hand in a good frame, leave the 1 where it was, and just move the 2. So the 2 moves up and back, but the 1 is right where it was. When it comes to that last beat of bar 3, we're going to worry about the shift down 1st position in a second. Let's first get those last 4 notes organized. What position are we going to be in? That's 1st position, yeah. 2, 3, and 4 are all spaced together. They're all touching, just a half step apart. Where does the 1 go? What are we going to base our frame on? Sometimes that's where you've got to make a judgment call. So I really wouldn't want my 1 touching all the rest of them. That makes them all bunched up, just not super comfortable. I'm going to put it in what I would call vanilla 1st position, a normal 1, E natural. Okay, so 2, 3, and 4 are all touching. This 1 is in normal 1st position. So let me back up a beat. When I shift down, it looks on paper like I'm shifting down from a 1 to a 2. But I'm actually thinking of shifting from 1 to 1. Down to that E natural that I just decided on a second ago. It's that concept of a guide note or a guide finger, right? If I'm shifting from a 1 down to a 2, I need to know where that 1 is going, and that becomes a great way to practice the shift. And what I love about that is that it's not only a great way to practice the shift, it's also the perfect way to execute it. I don't like practicing it one way and then, pulling some kind of trickery when I really need to play it. Instead, if I leave that 1 resting on the string the whole way down and rely on the timing of the shift to make it inaudible, then I can perform it the same way I practiced it. And that way you don't need to hear the shift. The other thing I do is that when I shift down, my 2, 3, and 4 are already touching just as they're going to need to do immediately after the shift. So 2, 3, and 4 touching. Now, getting to 3rd position in bar 4, the next bar, is just 3rd position. I could probably wing it, just jump up to 3rd position. But let's keep the concept of the hand frame going. I want to keep that frame. Where's my 1? Right, I left it on that E natural. So instead of just jumping up to a 4 and hoping for the best, let me shift my 1 up to a G. That's going to make a great octave frame to start bar 4, since I need to play that G to start bar 4. So again, that's the shift I'd practice. Yeah. And in performance, I've got a nice juicy rest during which to execute that shift. So, all right. The other thing I do during the rest, I get 3 and 2 where they need to be. 2 is going to be right next to 1, right? 3's going to be right in between, whole step away. So my 2, 3, and 4 are evenly spaced out, whole steps in between them. So here's what that move is going to look like from bar 3 to 4. Right? I put all those fingers down. I know it seems like a lot to do. You get used to it, you start doing it automatically. All right? Second beat of bar 4, you could finger it a few different ways, but let's take a look at the big picture, okay? Am I going to need to get out of third position, generally, for the rest of this bar? Not really. The whole rest of that bar works beautifully in third, so I'd love to keep my hand right there in third position in the same place and just let my fingers roam within the frame. So for that reason, when I play the C sharp on the second beat of bar 4, I'm going to reach back only with the 1. I'm not going to move the rest of the hand at all, right? Yep, so... And that's how I can execute that. Again, it sounds good because the notes are not slurred. If these were slurred, I might still do it, but I might be more likely to hear the... With separate bows, it's a gimme. You can easily execute that. So, in general, that 1, your first finger, it's the most mobile finger. It's the easiest one to reach back with. In fact, my normal playing position... That 1 is slightly reached back. That's kind of my normal playing position. And I make use of the first finger's ability to reach back so often. Getting back to bar 4 here, the best thing about this fingering is that by the end of the second beat, my 1's all set up on its new home base on the A string. Where do I reach my 4? Exactly an octave over. Perfect octave frame. As I reach that 4 over, I naturally get 2 and 3 set up where they need to be. 3 is a whole step back from 4. That was a high 4. 2 is right up against the 3. This 1 now, when I move that over to the E string, I've got to reach it back to its low position, right? No big deal, the 1's an incredibly mobile finger. But I'm not going to move the hand down. That's because I want to be able to reach that 4 straight over. Still third position. It's going to go over onto the A string, and I know it's going to be exactly in the right place. And I move the 1 back into its neutral position in the frame, right? And where have my 1 and 4 ended up? A perfect 4th apart, super comfortable. Let's play that whole opening. All right. Now if you want, you can take on bars 5 to 8. It's an octave up and a couple other small differences, but the concepts are exactly the same. And I would say that here in this upper octave, it's even more critical to keep our nice hand frame. Now, to start bar 5, 4 doesn't need to be on the string, can't be really, because I'm playing on the E string with the 3. In the air is fine, but while it's in the air, it'd be nice if it's a perfect 4th away from our 1, right? Where's the 1 going to be? On A flat. So my 4 is going to be naturally, comfortably a perfect 4th away, as if it were going to be playing a D flat. So now when I shift up for the next bar, bar 6, I don't need to be afraid of such a big interval or take a stab at it or something. I know where my 1 was, right? On the A flat. I'm going to shift it up so that it ends up a perfect 4th under my arrival fourth finger. So what note would that be? E flat. So that's the shift I practice. I'm not practicing A flat to A flat, I'm practicing A flat to E flat. So in performance, I can execute that shift during the rest. I got plenty of time. And you see I'm leaving my 1 on the string the whole time, right? Even if my bow's not on the string, the 1 remains on the string. For bar 7, it's back to third position, so 1 goes back to what note? Here I've got to make another judgment call. I want to go back to third position. Do I want to move my 1 to A natural or A flat? Probably sounds pretty obvious to you, but still, we go ahead and look ahead in the music. That 1's going to need to be on A flat, of course, so that's where I'm going to move it back to, which is right back where it came from. I'd love for you to take a look at that on the page, okay, because on the page it's not obvious that from bar 5 to bar 6 is a first finger shift, or that from bar 6 to 7 is a first finger shift, exactly the reverse of the bar before. But it is. It's 1 shift up, same shift back down. That's what makes it really easy. And it's we already know now how to group the fingers for the second beat of bar 7, right? Got to reach the 2 and the 1 back. That's no big deal. 2 and 1 can reach back within the frame. Now, the last beat of bar 7, first time around we played a second finger. I don't want to do that here. I guess that would be half position, but it would really bunch my first finger there. I don't know that any of you would instinctively do that. Instead, I'm just going to move the 1 down a whole step from A flat to F sharp. Okay. If these were all slurred together, I might have to come up with a fancier or a different fingering. Because you might hear that. You might hear that slide, that shift. But with separate bows, again, it's a gimme. Easy enough to make it inaudible. But I still leave it on the string. You won't see me hop it, remove it, and place it back. Some people might do that thinking that it would help hide the shift. That's not what hides shifts. Making a shift inaudible is always about the timing. In this case, executing it just before the bow change, right? You'll know if you do it too late, right? If you do it a little bit too early, you'll hear a little noise before the bow change. If you do it right in the crack, you don't hear it. Finger stays on the string. Shifting up to that next G at the beginning of bar 8. Another judgment call, but here's how I would think of it. My 2, the finger I was just playing, the last finger before the shift, that's my old finger. 1 was right behind it, just a half step behind it. So I'm going to shift with 2. Where is that going to end up? I look ahead where my 2 is going to need to be. It's going to need to be on that E flat. So that's the shift. It's from G to E flat. You'll notice that my 1 is going to stay touching the 2 the whole time, because that's where it was before. So that puts my 1 on a D, which is coincidentally a perfect fourth. That one wasn't exactly perfect, but a perfect fourth behind my 4. So that's a really comfortable frame in 6th position. I'm going to reach it back a half step just like I did before, but why am I not using the same fingering in bar 8 as I did the last time around, a 1-1? It's because of what happens next in the register that we're in, okay? Last time around, the whole rest of that bar really made perfect sense in the same position. That was 3rd position. This time around, if I stayed in position, I mean, I could do it. It's easy enough. It's kind of fussy though, fussy fingering. It's not a bright enough or open enough sound for this line. It's not the kind of fingering you'd probably use in a solo piece. I want to stay on the E and the A strings. So this time when I reach the one back on that second beat, I'm going to move, allow the rest of the hand to move back to follow that reach. That takes us down a position to fifth position. Now this is really important. First the reach, then the follow. If I try to do both at once, it'd be a little bit like rock climbing. Like if you have a one hand hold and one foot hold, you can't move them both at once. I mean, you can try leaping, but you're probably going to leap to your doom. You'd move first the hand and then follow with the foot, or vice versa. So we reach, then follow. 1, 2, and 3 are all touching. 4 is in the air. Presumably, it would be a perfect fourth above the 1 on an F sharp. I'm not going to get too picky about that. It's somewhere comfortably in the air. Now to finish, I'd rather not finish in fifth position because that would put the final note on the D string. I don't want to cross just for the last note. I'd rather be in third or fourth position. And since we were just in fifth position, fourth is right next to it. Let's just substitute that D during the rest. Going to substitute a 3 for the 2, right? See how I'm not lifting, not hopping and replacing, keeping the old finger on the string during the substitution. That last one was not a substitution, was it? Once that's done, we're in fourth position, third finger. I'm going to arrange 2 and 1 behind in their places as always. The last 4 notes on the A string, also within that perfect fourth frame. So, bars 5 through 8 one more time. 1 stays on the string. Now, the billion-dollar question. Is all of that really necessary? Is this really what I, Nathan Roy, would do with everything I play? And the answer is yes, but it's complicated. This is the way my hand generally works, but I don't sit down and figure it out in advance for every single measure all the time. The more of this work that I've done over the years, the more my hand simply starts falling into line on its own. All right, it started with playing scales in a hand frame, etudes in a hand frame, and just bit by bit starting to think that way in my solo repertoire. And the great thing about it is that even a little bit of hand frame work will benefit you enormously. It's not all or nothing, okay? But once you see how easy it is to play passages this way, even if you're nervous or tired or distracted, that's when it really pays off. Once you see that, you'll want to do it all the time, and your hand will actually start doing it for you. So, go for it. I'm back to being Nathan Cole. I do hope you visit my website for lots more violin goodies coming your way. Over and out.